I'm Mark Coates. I'm the executive producer at Microsoft Studios. We're here at Gamescom with...
My name is Gennady Korol. I'm from Moon Studios. I'm the co-founder. We're here to show you more of Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, we've only got one more day left at Gamescom, but man, it's been a wild ride so far, hey?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I mean, it's just the number of people you see here is just unbelievable.
Yeah. I feel like I've been getting a lot better at the game, and so we're going to be able to... But we'll have to test our skills a little bit here.
We'll see how good you got.
Let's check it out.
Yeah.
So we're just going to jump into the game and show you guys some of the demo that we have here on the show floor. We showed some of this at the briefing the other day, if any of you had a chance to check that out, but now we're going to show even more of the gameplay in the Jinsu tree.
Yep, so the Jinsu tree is this area of the game which is roughly 3 hours in. You know, the player by now would have been playing for, you know, it's basically the end of Act 1. We have 3 acts in the game. And the player would have acquired and mastered his jumps, his wall jumps, his double jumps, his attacking abilities, the Spirit Flame and the Charge Flame, and also you'll be able to use the Soul Link to save anywhere in the game.
Cool, yeah. So I just got the Bash ability.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a pretty cool thing where I can like latch onto these objects like this and then propel myself off of them in any direction. And I mean, how did you guys come up with a mechanic like this, Gennady?
So it's actually quite interesting. It goes back to how we do things at Moon Studios sometimes. Like, we're trying to think, okay, what hasn't been done in a 2D game before? You know, what can we do something that's really cool and innovative? So we're making concept videos of our character doing some cool animations, and we came up with this mechanic where, you know, he would be running on screen, sipping it from enemies, and bashing objects in the environment without ever touching the ground. So we said, well, we have to make this an actual mechanic in the game. So as you can see here, what Mark is doing is actually being able to latch onto those projectiles that otherwise would hurt him. He's able to latch on the enemies and bash them. And when he's good at that, it's actually giving you this sense of mobility where you're pretty much flying through the entire level. And if you notice, the projectiles are flying into the opposite direction to which you bash. So if you're bashing to the left, the projectile will go to the right. So this effectively gives you the ability to redirect any projectile. So in this case, what Mark needs to do is figure out, oh, I'm being blocked from the bottom and the top, so I need to use the projectiles in the environment, use my new ability, and redirect the projectiles to actually unblock myself.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite mechanics in the game. And you know, it doesn't take that long to pick up, and there's a little bit of challenge to it, but once you do, you feel like uber powerful in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we always try to do. Like, we want to make Ori not too hard and frustrating, so you know, so people would throw the controller on the ground and stop playing, but also make it challenging enough so there is this sense of reward and awesomeness that the player has when they master the abilities. And we try to ease the player in all of the abilities that he's getting. We try not to throw too much at the player at one time before he has mastered everything he needs. So, and the controls is something we labored so hard on for like a year and a half pretty much, because it's very important for a game like this to control really well, to be intuitive, to be direct and responsive, you know, so the game runs at 60 FPS, so that, you know, the actual performance of the game is never in the way, there's no input lag, and people just, you know, forget that they have a controller in their head at some point and just, you know, are in that game playing.
Yeah. And you're right. That's what we've been trying to talk to people here at the show about, and that's why we're showing this part of the game, which is about like probably 3 hours into the game,
Absolutely,
right? At this point, the player would be at. And so, you know, coming out of E3, it was great because we could show off the beautiful graphics of the game. At least we feel they're beautiful, and many people have said that they just love the look of the game, right? And then there's the story of the game, which is also, you know, I mean, it sounds kind of funny to say a little bit sometimes in the context of video games these days, but you know, it kind of has this touching story to it, and that really came across well at E3. But what we also wanted to show people is that no, the game is also grounded fundamentally in great gameplay too.
Absolutely.
And so this gives you a taste of kind of this mix of story and gameplay.
Yeah, well, the way we approach everything at Moon Studios is that we truly care about the narrative and the story.
I better save here, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I think you should definitely save, because it's going to more and more challenging as you play a little bit more. But as we were talking about, like we spend a lot of resources and we craft all the art we have in the game, we craft all the presentation, we make sure that the narrative is as good as we can make it and people actually feel something when they play the game. But everything actually, you know, is grounded in the foundation, which is always gameplay for us. So before we put in any art, before we do anything, we make sure that the actual foundation of the game is solid and it's fun. So we make it like we build levels out of solids. We make sure the enemies are just white boxes jumping around, and we try to make the game fun in that level. If it isn't fun, then there's no point adding all the finesse and polish on top if the foundation doesn't work. Actually, the section that Mark is playing right now is actually quite cool because it shows how you can mix the abilities that the player had already and the Bash ability to navigate this level in this cool way where he never touches the ground pretty much, because he can use the double jump to catch himself in the air. He can use Bash to actually use those we call them spirit lanterns, which are those little nodes in the environment. So he can latch onto those and catch himself with a double jump and just gets the sense of mobility that I don't think we've seen in games of this genre before.
Yeah, it really is pretty cool. I mean, with the combination of the double jump plus the Bash ability, it's like, yeah, I'm just flying around the level. Like you said, I hardly have to touch the ground at all. This kind of combines that, this is really in the spirit of Ori in the sense that it kind of combines that problem solving that you have to do to progress with, the precision mechanics of traditional platforming tweaked just a little bit with the Bash ability, right?
And this is just one of many abilities that we have in the game. We try to make sure that the game is roughly 10 hours for normal playtest, but we make sure that every single area in the game, every single section has a unique theme to it, not only art-wise, but also more importantly gameplay-wise. And not only does Ori learn more abilities in those sections, but we also make sure that every single environment has its own thing, has its own ability going on for it. So we mix all those to create all these unique challenges.
Yeah. And there's moments like this too where you get, where you face something completely new and unexpected. Like for example, in this one, here I've traversed through a large part of the Ginsu tree. There's still more to go, but I've learned how to kind of control the Bash. And so, if I try to attack this enemy with normal means, it's like when I get close to him, he sort of disintegrates. So I'm unable to do any damage to him. So quickly I learned that, I see, he's vulnerable to his own attacks. So I need to redirect him, right?
You're using the easy way out on the wall, right?
Well, you say easy, I say clever. I say clever.
You said you're good at the game, right?
Yeah. I see you challenging me, right?
Millions of people.
What? But is it really cheating if it's in the game?
That's a good point. Well, it's more of an advanced technique. Like in Ori, we always build the game in a way where there are multiple ways of solving the puzzle. So the game is actually built for speedrunners. So we can't wait to see people posting those videos that you're beating Ori in like 30 minutes, right? And we actually probably will ask people that have done the best score in the credits.
Yeah.
So there are ways of dealing with those challenges that are faster and more pro and advanced than like the casual playthrough.
Totally. Yeah, I think you guys have done a pretty good job with, not a pretty good job, a great job with some of the level design.
Thanks.
It's like you always want to give the player options. In situations like that, there's the challenge of trying to figure out what the correct strategy is, and then you give players different options on how they want to solve it.
And different people want to play differently, right? Everybody has his own personality when it comes to using the platforming skills that you have. Also, by the way, this section here that we arrived at.
Talk about this one a little bit, because I think people would be interested. Like, we're showing good gameplay, great gameplay and everything, but again, it's kind of this mix of telling the story along with enabling the player to work through the world through gameplay. And so this is a good part of the story, really, right?
Absolutely. Like, we're here at Gamescom to focus on gameplay, right? But gameplay, it is the foundation of everything we do, but it's only one facet of Ori. Ori is this, we want to build a whole package game which has also intermingling with the gameplay all the narrative and story, so the player has a bigger context of what's in the world, what's the purpose of the player in the world, what is he doing, and make sure that the player actually has impact on that world, right? So in this case, we actually, this whole section is about ascending a huge tree in the forest. This tree is called the Jinzo tree, right? And that tree is actually the source of waters in the forest. So the forest has no water anymore. The forest is dying, and Ori has to figure out a way to bring the waters back. So we are getting to this top of a section of the tree, which is the heart of the tree, and that heart is covered with decay and corruption, and that needs to be cleared up before the heart can be rejuvenated, and then the waters would be able to come back to the forest.
Right. All right. Well, let's try it then. Let's see if we can do it.
Yeah. Let's see if you're good at the game, Mark.
Yes. So yeah, I know, right? Yeah. This is a tricky part, right? It can be tricky to play. But you can see, like, as I work through the world here, I quickly realized that, what do I need to do? I have to explore a little bit here, right?
Yeah, so you need to get to the top left, and so because the heart was on the left, and you saw that there's a way of maybe removing the decay somehow, so you need to figure out, okay, what do I need to do there? But as you can see, there's this blockage. So as a player, what you have to figure out is like, all right, so it's not only about my platforming abilities, but I have to figure out how can I use something that's in the environment and the new abilities that I have acquired to try and solve this area, right? So in this case, we have those almost like portable portals, because the whole theme of the dungeon, of this area, is portals, right? And because it's the whole vertical thing, the camera is locked horizontally. So the way we design around that is that there's these portals that are going from the left and you exit on the right. Here, those are similar portals, but they are for projectiles, and they hang in the air. What you need to figure out is that there's actually a maze of those, and what you need to do is race with the projectile by using this really powerful bash attack that you have acquired in this area, and outrace the projectile, guide it through that maze, and make sure that it reaches that door so that you can clear up the heart. Great job, by the way.
Thank you. Yes.
Probably saved.
There we go. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
A lot of practice,
so,
huh?
Yeah. Well, now it's your turn, I think. So I cleared out the right part
I don't know if I can
of the
do
heart.
it, but yeah.
So now it's your turn to see if you can clear out the left part of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, by now we probably think that we expect the player to have learned all the abilities, but also have mastered them, so that we are throwing a lot at the player. There will be a lot of different enemies, and we take it to the next level.
Cool. This kind of takes all the mechanics, all the enemies, everything you've learned up to this point in the Jinsu tree,
Absolutely.
and throws it all at the player all at once. And again, it looked, and many times in the game, it looks harder than it actually is, because by this time you sort of mastered some of the core mechanics, and you can actually accomplish what you're trying to do. It's almost seamless.
Yep, absolutely. So here you can see I'm also blocked, so I have to figure
Another
out
block, yeah.
how to solve this. Actually, there's this orb in the air. I really want to get that one first.
That's actually a good point too. It's like, one thing about the game is similar to these games of this genre. Games like Metroid, games like Shadow Complex, these kind of games. There is like the primary golden path, if you will, that lets you get through the game. But there's tons of secrets. There's tons of other paths, alternate paths, optional paths that you can take to collect everything. And so, the game, what we're showing here today is about 3 hours in. The game's probably about, what would you say, maybe 10 to 12 hours of gameplay?
Yeah, we can probably show that. I mean, if you go to the world map, right, this is our area map, but if you zoom out, you'll be able to see like where you actually are on the map. So the whole thing that we've been playing right now was just top half of that tree at the top right.
Yeah,
right?
That's the Jinsu tree up at the right.
And there's a lot to explore and retraverse in the game. I mean, this section has been fairly linear, but the game itself isn't.
It's more open. It's a more open-ended, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so 10 hours will get you through the game if you kind of know what you're doing, where to go, and then for those kind of players that like to find everything or like to experiment or explore and try to find secrets and everything, that just adds more.
Yeah, it has no limit, pretty much.
Yeah.
All
right, well, you've done it. So this is sort of the big climax to the area, and so one thing just in spending time talking with you guys and working on the game over the past 4 years, it's like you guys have an interesting way of treating encounters, and so a lot of times I think it's interesting to talk a little bit about the philosophy of boss encounters in Ori, and it's like a lot of times you'll find in games that you want to end a certain area of the game, or you want to punctuate the game with a change of gameplay or pace, and sometimes it's easy as designers to take an easy way out, where sometimes it works, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great, where you just take an arbitrary boss that really has little context for being there, but
it has a red eye or something, and you have to like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like
it's like that works, but it's been done so many times. So in Ori, it's similar, where we want to punctuate the end of these sections of the game with like some very intense encounters, but rather than choosing a boss encounter like that, what we've done with the Jinsu tree is we've put together the sequence of events where now you have to use everything that you've learned up to that point, all of these skills that you've mastered in this area, this particular area of the game, to the test under duress. Exactly. And so, like we were talking about before, now that the tree is filled up with water, you've cleansed the heart. It's beginning to pump. and it's bringing water back to the tree.
Yep.
But unfortunately, Ori, we are stuck in the tree right now. So
Not good for us when the water is
so this sequence is going to start rising up, and you may have seen it to the briefing, and you've got to make your way out of the tree
Yep.
before being overcome by the water. So this is a true test of your skill and ability, I think, right here.
Yeah, because there's going to be a timing component on top of what we've already learned. So I'll have to perform all of the abilities I have learned on that high level, because I'll have the timing rushing against me, and I'll also have this cinematic presentation that hopefully is going to make my heart race, because it's going to have this whole exhilarating moments of action gameplay.
Yeah.
So let's try and see if I can do it, because fresh start today.
I think you can do it, but we'll see.
I'll hope so. If not, you'll do it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So let's resurrect the actual tree. Let's bring the waters back to the forest of Nibel.
All right, here we go.
Get out.
Yep. Nice. Man, the water looks pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Oh, so close, so close.
Yeah.
Man.
I'll try it again.
Yeah, I think you can do it.
This is really exciting.
That's very cool.
I mean, I've been playing this for like many times, and every single time my heart is racing.
Yeah.
I'm into the game. I cannot respond to any external input. I just have to focus and do this.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a great time here at the show. We've had a chance to demonstrate the game multiple times over the days. So, this obviously isn't Gennadi's first time trying this, but like he's saying, it's like every time it's still, you're like, you got that tension.
Absolutely. You want to try it?
I'll give you one more shot. Here we go. Can he do it?
Yeah, I think I can. These waters are pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy week here. I mean, so much to do, so many people to see.
I did.
Oh, so close. You were right there.
You guys
were
start
right
talking. I almost did it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it wraps up with a great cinematic shot. We showed in the briefing. You guys can see how we also intermingle story into all of this. So not only it ends with like this really challenging, really awesome cinematic gameplay action sequence, but also we tell more about the story of the game. So we make sure the player has always this mix of things going for him. So he's never really bored, or we're trying to always introduce that variation and change of pace between the story, the gameplay, the narrative, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we'll just have to leave that as a teaser. You'll have to see the end of this section.
Yeah, I just needed to do like one last bash.
Yeah, you would have made it. You would have made it.
It just
all right. Well, hey man, it's been great talking about all this for the guys, and hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen. Hopefully you'll stay tuned to find out more about Ori. You know, we're going to be releasing the game later this year, probably a holiday, and
we'll have to finish it first, right?
We'll have to finish it
It's
first.
really awesome
make sure it's
for
perfect.
all the players out there.
That's right, exactly. And you know, we'll be releasing more information here on Xbox, you know, as we go forward. So
yeah, stay tuned for more stuff coming out of Ori and the Blind Forest.
That's right. Thanks a lot.